This is Shelia Marie with Let's Talk.
Hi, welcome to Let's Talk with Jocelyn Marie and
Shelia Marie.
Today we're going to be talking about mindfulness and awareness and how to do it, how it impacts you, how much it affects society, and just that it's important. So what kind of brought this out for me is I watched a TED Talk by Richard J. Davidson on mindfulness and how our society is basically formatted to, be easily distractible, to go from one task to the other, to use the most of your time all the time, and we kind of forget in ourselves to be present and aware and connect with people or the things you do, or making the most out of your day-to-day. It's what's causing us to kind of decline as a society, being more distractible means that you're not in your body, you become numb to the external world.
Yeah, you don't even think about it.
And that's what's
I get so busy. I'm just like going through my day, and before I know it, I'm like, what even happened to this day?
Mm-hmm.
And I've done like so many things, and from one thing to the next, and I think it really makes a big difference on whether or not you're really enjoying your life at all.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm trying to just put at least like some intentional time in my day to be purposefully mindful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started doing that too, and it helps a lot just to kind of put yourself in check, center yourself for just a moment. Okay, what was I prioritizing before this? Do I actually stand with that? Is that something that matters to me? Yes, okay, this is why I'm doing it. I'm not just going through it stressed and anxious because I have to get it done, and
something that I've learned to just, I stopped saying I have to do this or I have to do that. I still find myself doing it.
Yeah.
Because every single thing we're doing, we're choosing.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't have to go to work.
No.
You choose to go to work so you can have a roof over your head.
Yeah, now some of that is, societal expectations, where I often get into like, do we really have choices?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is everything being controlled for us?
Yeah.
But then I get maybe too red-pilled and then back off. But yeah, no, I think it's so important to be present, and if you've never done it before, it's as easy as like taking 3 minutes to sit with yourself. You could be doing anything, sitting in the car, driving, doing your dishes, waking up in the morning, going to bed, whatever. Choose 3 minutes and just decide to listen to yourself, get quiet, focus on your breathing. It's meditation. It just really is.
Yeah, I was reading something about meditation. I'm like, okay, what exactly is meditation? And the definition that I ended up with is like any time that you are not thinking about the past or the future, or you are just in the here and now, that is considered meditation. So if you're just focusing on what's going on right now, that falls into meditation. But if you're not being mindful, it's still not, if I'm just thinking about, I'm doing the dishes and I'm washing the dish, but if you think about that, if you're really just thinking about the task at hand,
mm-hmm.
it does bring you into a different state of mind.
Mm-hmm. And you read the Power of Now?
Yeah, I've read some of it. Listen, that's a hard read.
I know, I'm starting it.
It's good.
Yeah, but something that's been hitting me is the idea that everything is now.
Yeah.
The thoughts you're thinking about from the past was a now.
Right.
And the things you're planning on for the future, after I do my dishes, I'm gonna go do my laundry, whatever. Like, that is still now.
Yeah.
So you're focusing on all these extra things other than right now, just to get to the next now that you're focused on something else. You know? It just, I don't know, it does help to be able to get yourself back in your body, into your mind. And it makes your goals more completable, achievable.
Yes.
When you realize I do have the power to be the best version of myself, you know?
Yeah.
Or whatever you're choosing to focus on during that moment of silence for yourself, you know?
Yeah. I love it.
Oh, yeah, so I was going to talk about your thoughts creating the world you live in. So whenever we are so easily distractible and, I'm, doing my daily tasks, whatever, you now are creating that stressful environment. Like, it wouldn't be stressful if you were just doing all the things you needed to get done. And you were in your body and you were saying, okay, I'm choosing the next thing I'm going to do, But since the thoughts that come up create the world that you're living in, your perception is reality.
Yes.
It makes it a lot more difficult to see the world as good and positive and bright and for you if you're not filtering out your thoughts.
I was listening to something the other day, and they were just talking about how if you're gonna guess what's gonna happen, it was, I think you shared it to me, that if you're gonna guess what's gonna happen, why would you ever just guess something that's not great?
Right.
Because whatever it is that you're putting your thoughts to lends to the energy that creates an outcome, I believe.
I totally agree, yeah.
I mean, I'm a big, and I lived for 48 years one way, kind of really more on the pessimistic side, more on the just borrowing trouble, borrowing problems. Oh, I'm not going to be able to pay this bill.
Yes.
I'm not going to have what I need. Whatever. And then I made a strong switch. And I dove into it and I did it, and I was very mindful. It's a challenge to make that shift. But just because I would find myself kind of backslidden, so to speak, over or back on the pessimistic side, I would just keep reminding myself, no, that you don't think that way anymore.
Right.
That's not what you're doing with your mind anymore.
Right.
So I started thinking, oh, of course I'm going to get that job, instead of, I'm not even qualified for that job.
Yes.
No, just of course I'm going to get that job. Of course, whatever is going to work out. And it was night and day different. My life is a night and day difference. So while, we get concepts and people talk about concepts, but I have legitimately lived through that to such a strong degree that I can tell a huge difference.
Yeah, and you've thought about this for a long time. You've kind of got it down with your book that you're writing about the roommate.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a good analogy. Do you want to explain it? The roommate?
Not yet, because it's a work in progress, and I don't have it copyrighted. Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
fair.
absolutely. Yeah. I can at least touch on the fact that, our thoughts are they really are just like somebody else sitting next to you saying whatever, and you can override it. You can be like, no, man, to your own thoughts, and do what you want to with that and override those. and put them into, I don't know, because we can only think about one thing at a time. If you choose an override, I always choose gratefulness. That's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
We just have so much to be grateful for, and I haven't always felt that way. I mean, but I do recognize that, you know, everything we have is a gift.
Yeah.
So just putting that gratefulness in there and thinking on things that I have to be grateful for, and in a minute, I mean, my attention span is so low that, and the other thought, I don't even know what it was I was thinking about a minute ago anyway. It just gets flushed out.
It just keeps.
If you have ADD, it's the perfect thing.
Oh, I know, right? No, that's exactly what we were just talking about at the beginning. You know, lots of people are like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what was I doing in here?
Yeah.
Oh, what was I thinking about? Why was I thinking about that? We're not paying attention to our thoughts anymore.
Yeah.
We're kind of zombified a bit, you know.
Definitely.
Focused on like real life tasks that actually matter but don't actually matter, you know.
Yeah.
And we rarely get into that. I don't know, not that I'm a human living on earth, but I'm a being and I'm made for connection and just the true point of us all being here.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like, I mean, for me, when you shake everything out, the only thing that really matters is human connection.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really find value in anything else. I mean, when it's all said and done, and I don't know if you think about, you know, like 100 years from now, when literally everybody that's here is no longer here.
Yeah.
And you might be a picture on somebody's mantle, and that's it. And nobody knows you, and nobody knows what you did or how you were.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a few little stories in your family, and then that's about it. So it's like, you know, the cars that we drive, or the jobs that we have, or, you know, what we chose to wear, or how we chose to identify ourselves. Like, what?
Yeah.
None of that stuff even matters.
Yeah.
Why we even spend any time on focusing on that kind of thing? I'd like to study it at some point, just on a human level. Like, really? Why do we do that?
Why do we care about it?
Yeah, because we find things to care about, and the more that I get into the frame of mind that I'm in now, I don't care about it.
Yeah.
Like, I used to be very aware of other people's perceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you know, if I wear my hair this way, or if I wear these clothes, or if I do this, or if I do that, or if I drive this car, or if I even have a car, or if I just walk everywhere I go. I mean, what are people going to think?
Will you be accepted?
Yeah.
But biologically, that is something our body needs, to have a connection, to be like-minded, to work with your fellow people.
Okay.
That is something psychologically that you crave because you grew up in the society.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to be accepted by them. There's a lot of ideas that you're supposed to be, you know, advertisements, whatever, and you look at them and you're like, oh, shouldn't I
I should do that.
fit into this?
But you know, I mean, seriously, I don't know. I mean, I say this and then I question myself because I'm like, really though? I really think I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
When I get dressed, I get dressed for me.
Mm-hmm.
When I work out for me. When I decide how to wear my hair, I do it for me. Now, do I fit in? I do. So, are my thoughts limited by what everybody else is doing?
I think that goes along with the perception, you know. You now perceive yourself because you've accepted yourself as normal, valid, whatever you like for a reason, and so you're going to go into this world this way.
Okay.
But other people haven't hit that yet.
Okay.
And so they're still trying to be accepted and feel validated through other people, external instead of internally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, it's the ego for sure, just wanting to seek validation without digging within yourself and finding it.
And the thing is, I mean, it is hard once you gain knowledge to go back.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I've studied so much and I understand so much at such a level. Sometimes I forget what people just don't generally know. If you haven't studied it, you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
So, as far as, the bottom line on validation is that the only true validation is going to come from within. You can't even get it from the outside.
Right. But I think you could go as far to say validation, love, self-worth, all of these things come from within.
Yeah.
You can't.
But I mean, definitely our society does affect it. I mean, I wonder. Like, if literally I decided, oh, this is me and I love me and I love how I am and who I am, and everybody was just like throwing rocks at me and gonna stone me for it, would I change my mind? I don't know.
That's a whole different question, because that is happening, but it's like,
that's true.
that goes down to morality, and are
It
you
gets
going to be
kinda
a
deep.
martyr for yourself?
I guess, and it may have to do with really how much you really know yourself and believe in yourself.
That's why we have nomads. That's
Okay.
what, not everyone fits into what society says we should be, and not everyone is hated for it. You can passively unaccept the ways of your society and be here, but unless you're declining, unless it takes away from your strength, then I'm sure there's lots of people who do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. At what point does it take away from your strength, or can you get to a point to where you're like legitimately just not affected by that? I don't know.
You can't not, well, I don't know. Can you not be affected by it? If it's the rules and the people in power who do the exact opposite of what you want to see in the world, is it your job to advocate? Is it your job to keep your peace and say, you know what, that's not my world, I'm living in this world? Not to, but then it's not better than people who just put up a bubble and live in their own world.
And sometimes people just can't take it, and they don't have enough of the self-love, but then they just like recluse and they'll just hide from everybody. But if you're not growing as an individual, that's going to end up being a harmful thing more than anything.
Yeah, of course.
So
no, because if you're not growing, you're declining.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of the normal. Do you think?
Yeah. I do. I really haven't sat and contemplated it enough to know what I really think about how much the norm really affects everything. Because I've always kind of been on the outside of the bell curve. I don't, just.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I really, and I did get to a place to where I valued that, because I do, I do evaluate and pay attention to who I want to be and what I really want to do versus what I would just do if I were just doing what everybody else did.
Right.
So there's huge value in that. But not everybody does that, and
not everybody knows how.
And that's actually what we're talking about. It's just, it's a different level of mindfulness, but
it's like I don't know, enlightened but not entitled. You have to work for it. You have to find it,
you definitely have to work for it. You know, it's not for the person that doesn't want to take the time. I mean, a lot of people just, they go through life and they're not really giving anything much thought.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, you know, you can stay busy in life and never give anything much thought. I mean, your waking hours can come and go faster than anything.
Mm-hmm.
People, especially if you have a job and kids and a family, oh please.
Right.
I mean, you can spend, I did it, you know, spend 20 years not being, I mean, just being like a little robot.
Yeah. That's why I think gratefulness is such a big thing to implement, because if you spend your day while you're doing all these things saying, I'm grateful for my kids, I'm grateful for my coffee mug.
That's a mindfulness statement.
I had a good hair day, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
And then you go to bed and you're like, oh, all these things that I had a great time doing, or being around, or good energy, whatever. You go to bed and you're like not cranky and tired and unhappy, you know?
Definitely. You could have the exact same day. You could look at two people with parallel days that did exactly the same thing, and what they're thinking about determines like the whole experience.
Yes. No, actually, the Richard Davidson TED Talk, they did that, where they made people do positive affirmations for 2 weeks, 30 minutes a day.
Okay.
And they studied these two separate brains, and the other one was just much happier. It actually made an impact on just 7 hours in 2 weeks. You know?
I mean, and to me, I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, oh,
but
today I felt happy.
Yeah, people don't think about it. They just don't think about it. Joy and happiness are not, they don't come to you, they come from you. They don't come from an external source, period. They don't. You can't get happiness and joy from an external source. It's what's going on in here that determines it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are times, I was taking one of my relatives right now is going through radiation for cancer. And I'm taking him to all his radiation treatments, and he's like, how are you always happy? Because every time I come to pick him up, like, I genuinely am happy the majority of the time. If I find myself feeling unhappy, I'll put a check on it real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you know what? I just need to regroup and look at this from a different perspective. Because there are always so many things to be grateful for. The thing on that particular day was that I'd been taking care of my mother. There was another thing that I did for somebody else that was kind of taxing, and then I was taking him to radiation, and it was just back to back to back. And I was already like super tired because I have a hard time sleeping. And so I didn't get much sleep the night before, and I was like, oh my gosh, seriously, if I just went and laid down somewhere, I'd be asleep in like 3 minutes. I'm so tired.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't sit around thinking about that stuff. I'm like grateful that I'm capable of helping other people. You know, when I'm getting the 4th wheelchair in and out of my car that day, you know, and I'm like, it barely even fits, and I'm like getting the wheelchair in there, I'm like legitimately enjoying it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not in the wheelchair. Right. I've got somebody in my car that's in the wheelchair, and all I have to do with my able-bodied self that's been fed good food is pick the wheelchair up and put it in the car because I can. Mm-hmm. It's like, I've been in a situation or in a lifestyle where I did not think like that, and it just changes everything.
It really does. So what would you say about people who, you know, have circumstances that they cannot control at the moment? You know, they're going through a much harder time. They are in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
They, you know, are just having a hard time, your friend doing chemo, what would you say to people like?
Or like, let's go even further. You've got chemotherapy, you're sick, you can't get your medication,
Right,
you don't have any
you
money.
Don't have friends,
I mean,
whatever.
it's just et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you can be under like the worst circumstances, and I always start with clean air to breathe. Okay, our air is not that clean, but it's clean enough to breathe.
It's breathable.
It's breathable, and it will keep you alive and healthy from that standpoint. When you are focused on, when you would really, like your circumstances, you're like, really, what do I have to be grateful for? I'd honestly rather just be dead. Like, I'm pretty pissed that I am breathing right now. Because whether you're stating it in that way, people do feel that way. I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Your perspective is literally everything. First and foremost, what part of any of whatever it is that you're going through can you control? Because all of the things that you don't have any control over, you are wasting your time and energy even thinking about it.
You already know they're out of your control.
If I have cancer and I can't walk and I've got everything in my body aches from head to toe, and they're doing everything that they can do about it, and I spend half my day vomiting, I am not gonna think on it. I'm just not. And I am not saying that lightly, because
I know.
It's not easy at all to do. But when you master your thoughts and you say, you have to give yourself something else to think about instead of just if you're trying not to think about that thing, you're just thinking about that thing.
It's shoving it down and then being readdressed over and over again.
It's just, you have to replace it with something. So if you think about it, even if you have a hard time with it, okay, literally right now, if all of a sudden, on top of everything else I've got going on, it gets smoggy in here and I literally cannot breathe. And I can breathe just enough to continue to live, but I really can't breathe because, it is just choking me up and I'm coughing. Okay, be grateful for the air you're breathing. It's a gift. Be grateful for anything you can think of, and you can think about, I'm grateful that I don't have a skin disease that makes my skin itch all the time. I don't have that. I'm grateful. So glad.
Yep.
Because if you added that to my plate, that'd be tough. I'm grateful that I can see. I can see color. Listen, spend a few days in jail where there is no color, and you will appreciate the hell out of color for the rest of your life. When I went to jail, I only had to stay there for 3 days, but I thought I was going to have to stay there for maybe 20 years, and I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's no color in there. I think that's why everybody in jail buys Skittles from the commissary. It's the only color you can find in that place.
Oh my God.
It's basic things that we just take for granted. Everything that if you can do anything that not every single person on earth can do, it's a gift. It's a gift. There are people without arms and legs. There are people who have constant pain. There are people who can't stop throwing up. There are people who are allergic to sunlight. There are people, there are people who are being trafficked. The list of things that could be happening to you is endless.
yeah. And the things to be grateful for, that list is also endless,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. It is endless. It is endless. I have have you seen those big fat 5-star notebooks?
Mm-hmm.
I started writing things to be grateful for, and every time I think of something, I just write it down in there. It's almost full. It's almost full of one item things columned down.
Wow, when did you start that?
When I was 47.
Wow.
Yeah, 11 years ago.
That's crazy.
11 years ago. I can open it up to any page. Let me get in a little funk, and that thing will pull me right out.
That's so cool.
It's extremely valuable.
Wow.
It's an extremely valuable tool to use.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're living in that, I don't know, that state of mind that's just negative, it could be said as hate versus love, negative versus positive, light, dark. You're living in a dark space inside your soul,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yes.
The truth is like energy is neither destroyed nor created, you know, but it is transmutable. You can transmute hate into love or negativity into positivity. Yeah, my environment sucks, or I feel really bad about myself all the time. I'm depressed, you know. It's not impossible to start transmuting that energy into something loving.
Oh, not even nearly. Yeah, it's not. It's so possible.
It's a matter of accepting that you deserve love, that you want to feel love. You know, because when you're depressed, it's like a little depression bug that's just like, you love this.
Mm-hmm.
You want to just be tired all the time and lay in bed and do nothing and make yourself sick, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or be sick. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, I
Yeah.
don't know.
And I'm not saying that there aren't circumstances that are depressing.
Exactly.
I mean, absolutely there are. And sometimes, you know, when I was doing therapy with people, I was counseling people, you know, when people come in, and this had a woman that she lost her husband unexpectedly. He died in a motorcycle accident.
Mm.
They were like 42 or something, you know, low 40s. He was her everything, you know, just out of nowhere. And she struggled hard for about a year. And when she had a breakthrough on that, first of all, you just kind of have to process it some. But when she had a breakthrough on it was when she started to compartmentalize her feelings and say, okay, every day, literally, she started out with 3 hours of just being sad and lethargic and hating everything and being overwhelmed. And then when her time was up, she would say, okay, I'm just literally not going to allow myself to even think about it until tomorrow morning at 10. And it was amazing what happened with her progress, because she was able to have some good days. But then in the process, she started saying, I feel bad for feeling okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like I found myself laughing, and then I started feeling guilty because I feel like I shouldn't feel that way. So she had to get past some of that to accept that it was okay to feel okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Yeah, I think there's something deep inside most of us that's like, I'm a bad person. I don't deserve goodness. You know, maybe not everyone struggles with that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe some people are born with, I'm entitled to all greatness and goodness, but it's something that I feel like I see in a lot of people, that self-worth deficit, where they just they think they deserve bad things.
I think some of it can have to do with experiences that you've had and upbringing, and I mean, there's so many things that can contribute, and maybe some of it's genetics, maybe they're, but whatever the case is, it's something that is worth working to get past.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's not a person on this planet that doesn't deserve an amazing life. There's just not. And I get choked up about that, because I think that we categorize people so much. And we think, oh, not that person or whatever. Society helps people put themselves into those categories sometimes. But even if you have the President of the United States standing next to a homeless person and they're both talking, who are you listening to?
Mm-hmm.
Usually the president. I mean, we discount people and we treat them like they have less worth for whatever reasons. And they don't. They're not. One person is not worth more than another person.
Mm-mm. No, I don't think that's like a human characteristic to put some people down and others up. I mean, it's hard to say what's the difference between a human characteristic and a societal characteristic.
That's what I was going to say. It's cultural.
Yeah.
I think it's more cultural than it is anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you live, I saw a show, it's been a long time ago, but there's somewhere, it's a city in the United States, somewhere up north, that the entire city is designed to house and support people with different mental health issues. They move freely in society, but their bargaining system is different than everybody else's. So there are people that are there just working and doing regular life, but they know that that's what this city is about. So if they see somebody that is in a wheelchair pushing themselves down the street, they find a resource and they help them.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many resources in this place. And that's their culture. That's not the culture where I live. And I mean, I have friends who, I mean, I'll help somebody do something or give them money or give them food or whatever, and they're like, they're choosing that. They just choose it, and they're just gonna go spend their money on drugs and alcohol and
Right.
whatever. So let's ignore them and not help them?
Right.
I mean, is that the answer? Because they're hurting so much that that's if that's your belief, that you think that they're just like choosing that, then that's your reaction to that?
Yeah.
Like, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
there's
but
so
that's
many
not
layers
right.
to that. Because even the, giving a gift to someone with an expectation, that's not a gift, that's a responsibility you've put on them.
Okay.
It's an expectation.
Okay.
And so you're already giving that to someone, and even though you're hoping they don't spend it on blank, by you saying I hope they don't, it just, I don't know, and then you believe that they will, because they're lesser human. It's addiction.
It's super judgmental. It's super
rough.
judgmental, and here's the thing: if I give you $5 and I want you to buy a hamburger let me give you a hamburger. If I'm wanting you to have a hamburger, let me give you a hamburger. If I give you $5 and you're, standing outside of the Dollar Tree with your homeless sign, I'm doing it to say, hey, I care that you're struggling. I don't give a crap what they do. If they can go throw it in the trash for all I care.
Right. It's a human connection.
It's a way for me to say, it matters to me that you are struggling. That's my message. So I guess you have to figure out what your message is, you know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, but not everybody has that. And I'm grateful that I'm that way. I mean, I think it's a gift.
Yeah.
I mean, I know not everybody is geared to think like that.
Well, no. I think it's a matter of, like, ethics and morals. And everybody has different moral standings. That's what makes us each individual.
True.
What happened to them as a child may make them feel this way, while you and I may feel a different way.
Yes.
And even yours is different than mine. Like, it goes deep into every single person is so intrinsically unique that, of course, we're not all going to agree on the same things. And, of course, our society is flawed, you know.
Yeah. Well, and people are flawed. I mean, we're all flawed. I mean,
but at what point can we, you know, step forward in society and make a change for the good? Because we do see a lot of things like the awareness, the mindfulness, we're all living in a fog, in a haze.
well, we're living in our own perceptions and realities, you know. I mean, you can change your perception and your reality, and it does change things. I mean, that's what I was talking about with me. The way, you know, when I made the change, I was very purposeful about. I did want to feel joy. I didn't even, like, I literally was like 45 years old. Like, I don't even understand what joy really means. Never felt it a day in my life. Never. I mean, you know. And I went on a search and started doing things. And one of the things I've learned through my journey is when I start to think about making changes, I look for people that resemble what I'm looking for. And I find out what they're doing.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just like,
yeah.
You know, I mean, because it's like, okay, I can go to the bar and get drunk so that I don't have to think about things. But when I look at the people that just do that as a coping mechanism, I don't want that life. So let me not do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I look for people that I want, that are an example to me. And I just see what they're doing.
I think that's so important. Yeah, because that's not only environment, but that is the connections. And it creates your world. What you're focusing on, what you're doing in your life, who you're hanging out with. It makes a huge impact.
Everything that you do and everything that you choose is making an impact. I mean, we are creating our future right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you get into some sticky, you know, I don't know, thought processes, I guess, when, you know, like a friend of mine was saying recently, just, okay, well, you know, like, this is the situation that I live in, and, I mean, am I creating this thing, you know, and I have to say yes.
I don't know.
I have to say you are, you're aiding it in some way. You're a factor in it, yes. I mean, you're not the only factor.
No.
But, you know, I mean, in what, I don't know what each individual human is capable of.
Okay. The more I'm thinking about it, it's like, you know, everyone is in a situation for a reason.
Okay.
Not saying people deserve to suffer, or hurt, but sometimes the universe has some really hard points to put out and make you get through. And when you're resisting all of that, instead of just being like, okay, I accept, what's your point? I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Let me get through this.
Okay. I like that.
And then it takes you on. They say all you have to do is ask. And so then you ask for $1 million and, you know, an environment change and, you know, a mental change. And things start, I mean, it's hard to say because that's what I'm living, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe it won't happen to everybody, but that's how I'm living.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that I believe, hands down, personally, just from all the studying, all the seeing, all the doing that I've done, that we definitely play a big part in what becomes with what we choose to focus on. I think that where your focus is, that's where the energy is going. And so it's like, if I'm focusing on the apple in the fruit bowl, and that's where my focus is, I see the apple in the fruit bowl, and there's all this other fruit in there, and I'm not even seeing any of that stuff. And I'm like, if I want oranges, I need to be focusing on the oranges.
So the universe is a fruit bowl.
Yeah, I guess so.
And
in this, I mean, it's just where
you have so much access to all the goodness, all the powers in the world, you know? That's what I truly believe. You just have to search for it. Seek it out.
Put your focus on it.
Yes.
Just try it.
Get involved. Yeah.
Just try it. Try putting your focus on what you want versus what you don't want. If your focus is on what you don't want, you are literally just asking for more of the same. It's where your focus is.
Well, because you could be at the point where, you know, I want this, but I can't have it. And so then you have to, I deserve this.
And why can't you have it?
Why aren't you owed this?
Why can't you have it? Why can't you?
No, yeah. Yeah, you have to, I deserve it.
Or like you were saying earlier, be willing to accept it. You know? That was a big thing for me, is getting to a place to where I was willing to let go of depression and willing to accept goodness. I felt like I didn't deserve it, you know, whatever. I don't know what all the things were. The lists were long.
Yeah.
But there was that part of us that wants to stick with what we know. Humans are like the worst at that. Like, we all want to stay in that comfort zone. It's why people will, you know, this is a hypothetical comment, not my comment, but my father hit me, and so then I marry somebody that hits me, you know, or I find myself in abusive relationships over and over and over again, because we know how to react to that, and it's uncomfortable. It's super uncomfortable when you're in an environment that you don't know how to act or react in.
Yes.
We just want to like run back to what we know. So you have to be willing to get uncomfortable.
Yes, because those patterns, those cycles don't end until you handle it correctly.
Yeah.
Once you break free of it. Even the generational trauma, I mean, I know a lot of people my age, this generation, are really big on, I'm breaking generational trauma with me.
Yeah, it ends
If
here.
that means not having a kid and not hurting it,
yes,
then that's what I'm going to do. They're just very adamant about bettering themselves and making this life worth living, and not just falling into those cycles that you always hit over and over again until you get the point.
Yeah. I think if you could see your future as a blank slate, it helps to figure out what you want to draw on that. Because it is a blank slate until you get there. And so what you choose in that regard is what's going to determine what's on there. So, you know, just because we think that's what we deserve, or that's what we are gonna do,
right,
then
it's just so limiting.
Absolutely.
When in reality, your future is just a limitless blank slate, you know? There's nothing set in stone for your future.
I mean, if I want to live on a yacht for the rest of my life, there's no reason that can't happen. There's no reason. If anybody can live on a yacht for the rest of their life, why can't I?
Right.
But that's where the work has to start, on being willing to first identify what it is you do want.
Yeah. You could even make a list. And I like this, I like this, I like this, I don't like this and this and this.
Yeah.
And these are all for a reason. You know?
I fully agree with that, because we're all so different. You know, what you want is going to be something completely different than what I want. And sometimes we think we want something specific because we think that it's going to result in something specific, but that's not really what's going to happen. And I say go live on a yacht, that's a really big superficial whatever. I mean, but it's, identifying what your soul is longing for, and being willing to accept it. And for me, personally, you know, I believe that there are multiple things in our right here in my space that I can't see that can help me, and I reach out to that all the time, and I'm like, if there's anything or anyone that can help me, God, angels, whatever, ancestors, energy, whatever it is. I mean, they didn't give us a book on it, so we don't really know.
Right. See, they didn't give you a book on it, but also it's like researching for yourself, learning what you like, thinking about your, you know, moral standpoint, figuring out where that is. All of these things are kind of a crucial point in figuring out yourself. You know, some of the stuff you can just do internally. Well, I think, but you have to kind of identify how you feel, and if you don't know how to put these feelings to words, to a thing that you can actually understand, then it gets a bit difficult. I mean, you're so educated, and so am I, and there's still so much to learn, but people who don't have a degree or aren't built with this,
or don't I mean, a lot of people don't read or take the time to research or any of that. Well, a lot of people don't have time.
A lot of people don't have time. No, that's very true. Very true.
You know, although I will say, you have to make it a priority.
You have to make time.
You have to make it a priority. I mean, whatever it is that you're doing in your life are your priorities. So, is there anything that you might put down on the priority list so that could make it to the top?
Yeah.
You know, because I have reached a point to where, I mean, I'll do without stuff to have downtime. I'm not going to work extra hours so that I can buy more things that I really don't care about, or have like the most expensive car, or live in a certain neighborhood. I just know No. I am not exchanging my time and energy for things that, for me, I did figure out ain't making or breaking anything.
Right.
Now, does my environment matter? It does. I do want to live in a decent space, but do I need to live in the neighborhood that everybody covets? No, absolutely not. I'm not working my hours in my day so that that's in my life. But it took me figuring out what my priorities were.
Right, because you don't care about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people
But I
maybe
have cared about that before. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's an egotistical way of thinking of it, and there isn't. You could really, really value having your favorite car that you drive to work and back, and be like, oh, I just love that I have a luxury car.
Yeah.
Like, this
Absolutely. Could
this
be
brings me
extremely
life,
important.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's a priority for you. And it's not for you. Like,
and I think it's just important to recognize whatever your priorities are, what is it costing you?
Yeah.
To meet that priority? Is it, because that's what it took for me to realize that I didn't want that. I mean, did I want it? I wanted it, but not at what it was costing me. Because I was, never had any, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this. That's for darn sure. I mean, I was way too busy. I didn't even just, take time to sit around and contemplate anything, much less try to share it with other people. So, am I glad I exchanged that? Absolutely. But, I had to think it out and figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. Okay. My last note is talking about setting boundaries with energy suckers. So you've chosen this life, or you've noticed your energy shifts, you're paying attention to them, and you see when you start feeling not your best self, feeling exhausted, feeling anger as a first-hand, feeling associated with other things, you're overstimulated, whatever. And you realize it's someone, something, you're like, I hate being around this energy or whatever. You have to set up your boundaries. You have to protect yourself. Certain foods don't make you feel good. You feel like garbage the rest of the night. Whatever. Activities. You have to set boundaries with yourself. Okay, now I'm going to choose to do what my body actually wants, what I actually want, what makes me feel good, what fuels me. And it doesn't have to be like the healthiest choice. Whatever. It's all on perspective. It's what makes me feel good,
Yeah, I think that I think humans can take a little bit of anything, like just with foods. I can eat ice cream maybe once a month and get by with it, and I'll never notice it. I can't eat it every day.
Right.
I mean, I tried to get to a place to where I didn't tell myself no, never on things, but just accepting how something is affecting me. When you're talking about people and energy suckers, people that that is a no, never for me. When I realize that I'm in an environment that is taking more energy from me than it's giving to me, I am out. Just not staying. I can't afford it. My mental health can't afford it. I like being happy and content and feeling good, and I'm not going to give that up for anything. And why would I? Because what's the point if you're in an environment, and we can just say, a particular person. Let's say we have a neighborhood gathering and there's a particular person that every time, I'm around them, I just end up feeling worse than I did when I came into the conversation. Well, I'm not joining that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And if it tries to approach me, I'm going to leave. I'm not going to stay with that.
Yeah.
I think it's important in relationships.
Yeah, all types of relationships. Important to start working on your own self-worth. I'm better than this. I'm more deserving of a positive experience than what I know this to be. Whatever instincts that come up that say, oh, I should just appease, I should just power through it, maybe just mask the whole way through, whatever. Those are hurting you more than anybody else.
And are they helping anybody? I mean,
It's helping a piece of you that wants to just appease, but it's all surface level. You know, it's like what you were saying about I don't care what other people's perception of me is.
mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and I am grateful I've reached that, because it's a big thing to possess. I mean, because I don't know. I just feel like each person individually on the planet is responsible for their own self and how they feel and what they do. And even if I want to make your life better, it's not even possible. That comes from within.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that for you. You
Yeah.
can't do it for me. We can't do it for each other. You can be, I think the greatest gift you can give to humanity is just to be the best example of a human that you could possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
That's the greatest gift you could give anybody. And you can't, it's sort of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. I mean, I'm not saying, don't tell the thirsty horse that there's a pond over there, but I'm just saying you're not responsible for whether they drink the water or
Yes. Yeah. That just, you just have to figure out your priorities. If you're not at the top of your list, I mean, I always feel like you can't give from a cup that's empty, and you have to water yourself first. It feels selfish. It feels selfish when I say it.
Really?
Yeah,
I used to feel
out,
I used to feel that way. I don't feel that way anymore. Yeah.
No, because then I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just hard sometimes because I do center other people. I want to show my love to people or my likeness, whatever. And I feel like I have to do things for them in order to feel like it's actually happening,
Yeah. And if you reach a point in any given relationship where you're taking on the responsibility for them, that's not nice.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just not nice. How are they going to grow and learn?
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't choose to grow and learn, you doing it for them is not fixing or helping anything. All it's doing is taking away from you.
Exactly.
It's just like impossible. See, I think it's just extremely important to recognize that it's just not your place. You're overstepping a boundary, and you're hurting people more than you're helping them in the name of not being selfish.
Right.
Is that right? I'm not missing a boat on that, am I?
I'm learning.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think you're right.
I mean, it's for me at this point, it's just like super clear.
Mm-hmm.
Because even with, let's say, and I'm just using this as a random example. This is not something that happened, but taking somebody to chemotherapy, and they're like, no, I don't want to spend my last $10 on the medicine. I'll just do without, and I'll just throw up all night, whatever. This is gonna sound really harsh, but I'm just gonna let them. They got something to learn. I don't know what it is, but that's just really, and I will say, really, that's going to be your choice, but I'm not going to try to go make a choice for them. Now I might ask them, well, do you want me to buy it? I don't mind buying it.
Right.
You know, but if they're like, no, and they're just, let's just say they just take it a step further, they're just going to be the martyr or whatever. No, it's okay. Blah, 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 whatever. Okay. I mean, you just got to know.
Okay.
You just got to know when to stop. And it's something I still work on. I can see it clearly sometimes, but sometimes when I get in the middle of situations, I'm like, where is the boundary here? Where's the good boundary?
Right.
Not really sure. Like, should I do the next thing for them? Do I take the next step for them? Do I carry them?
Yeah.
People need help sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, people need help sometimes.
So, that's a lot.
That definitely put things into perspective for me. Because I think of it more as, you know, I'm not giving anybody a kidney right now, and I've never had to. So I'm not doing, like, dire tasks for people, you know?
Yeah.
But I do get my energy out more freely than I would like, you know?
Okay.
Give away my energy, not just have my energy come out and exude, but it's being taken, you know?
You're giving it away more than are you identifying it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the start of getting over that.
Yeah.
Just start identifying what you're doing and make purposeful choices not to do that again.
Right.
And you're gonna, and I'm gonna say one thing. No, you know what? I'll save it for the shorts.
Cool.
Yeah. So, okay.
You have anything else you want to talk about?
No. Good talk.
Yeah.
I just think it's just important for people to realize that, you know, your mindfulness on what you do and don't do and how you're spending your time, it can make or break your own life, and your own life is really the only one that you have that control over.
Yeah, totally.
So.
Yeah, taking the time to be aware, be grateful, even under, you know, dire circumstances and all that. It's definitely important. Keep your boundaries figured out and enforced.
There you go.
Yeah.
Have a good day.